In this video, we're going to build an EMP-proof Faraday cage using a metal trash can and other common items that you can get at your local hardware store or even online. I'm going to walk you through all the items you need. We're going to cover the step-by-step process to build this. We're going to test it in several different ways to show whether this setup really works or not. We'll discuss how to properly store it, look at test results simulating EMPs on an identical setup, and then discuss what you should put inside of it. You're definitely going to want to stick around to the end to see our test results, so let's jump in. Download the Start Preparing Survival Guide to help you prepare for any disaster. I'll post a link in the description and comments section below, or visit cityprepping.com/get started for a free guide to help you get started on your journey of preparedness. So what is a Faraday cage and what problem are we trying to solve here? Now, simply put, a Faraday cage is an enclosure that's built to protect electronic devices from an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, that can overload and fry them. So what's an EMP? An EMP, or electromagnetic pulse, is a brief burst of electromagnetic energy. Now, these can be the result of a nuclear blast. And events like coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, are large plasma and magnetic field expulsions from the sun's corona. Now, such events have been documented and observed, such as the Carrington event of 1859. I did a video on the channel a few years ago that goes into a lot of detail if you'd like to learn more. Now, by building one of these, we can protect important electrical devices in an affordable setup that allows you to protect electronic items that are important to you. Now, we'll tell you up front that I combed through many videos on the subject, various online articles, and studied videos that actually use gear that could replicate an EMP. I then pulled all that information into this video for you. And of course, I'll give credit and provide links in the description section below where I found sources that were very useful in researching for this video. So let's start building this out. Items needed. Here are the items that you're going to need. Each one of these items that we'll cover can be purchased at most local hardware stores and online. Several of the items you may already have. An all-metal trash can, big ones for about $34 and small ones for $23. Aluminum foil for $5. Aluminum foil tape, around $6. Cardboard box, you can typically get these for free. Tape measure for about $9. Duct tape for $5. Sharpie pen for $4. Scissors or a knife for about $5. So if you didn't have any of these items and you had to buy them all, you'd be out about $70. And I'll put links to each one of these in the description section below. How to build it. To be effective, a Faraday cage needs three things. It has to have a continuous conductive metal barrier protecting against electromagnetic signals, which is why we're using this metal trash can and aluminum tape. Second, we need to adequately insulate whatever it's protecting inside. We're going to go into detail to show how to add insulation. Number three, you need to store the setup on a non-conductive surface like wood, cardboard, or rubber mats. So let's jump into building this utilizing these three principles. Seams. Check and seal. Any break in the continuous metal structure represents a weak point where signals can get into the can, and the metal serves as a shield to keep signals out. We have to identify any places in our trash can where there may be a compromise. So how do we address this problem? Well, you have three primary vulnerable points for a metal trash can. If you look inside the can, you're going to see holes where the handle is attached to the side of the can. Additionally, the seams, while sealed at the factory, may have small openings that we may not be able to observe with our eyes. Under our lid presents another point of vulnerability, as the lid may not sit completely on top of the trash can to form the seal that we need. We can place a lantern or a bright light inside the can both before and after we seal everything up to see if we observe any light escaping. This is a trick I learned from JR of the DIY Prepper YouTube channel on his video on the same subject. So let's begin by sealing holes where the handles connect. On the inside of the can, we're going to apply our aluminum tape. Adding a few layers of aluminum tape may not be a bad idea, as the metal holding the handles does have sharp edges. Additionally, I put a couple of layers of duct tape on top of the aluminum tape. Why? Well, once we add the insulation inside, it can rub on this area. Over time, it could compromise the aluminum tape's integrity. As such, I just want to make sure we provide it with a layer of protection. Next, let's seal the seams on the inside of the trash can. We have seams on the bottom of the can that can go all the way around. And additionally, there's a seam running from the bottom to the top that we need to seal. Now, regarding the lid, I found three primary approaches to seal this while researching for this video. And I'll show you two approaches here that are budget friendly and mention one that's a bit more expensive later in the video. We're also going to test these two approaches of sealing the lid in the video, along with showing tests performed by Dr. Bradley of the YouTube channel EMP Doctor, in which he simulates conditions similar to an EMP on a metal trash can. Now you're going to want to stick around for that, as it's very fascinating. Okay, here are two options for sealing the lid. The first option is to put an aluminum gasket on top of the trash can that our lid sits on. To do this, take a long strip of aluminum foil and fold it on itself several times. Then run it around the top of the trash can and push the lid down on it. With this option, the advantage is that we can open the can without issue. But does it really work to protect our items inside? We're going to find out in just a moment when we perform the test. Now, the second option is arguably the safest bet, but it also presents a challenge. Using our aluminum tape, we can tape the lid off entirely after it's placed on top of the trash can. But of course, that creates a problem in that each time we want to open the trash can, we have to either cut the tape or carefully remove it, thus damaging the integrity of the seal. Now, regarding the third approach, we'll discuss that a bit more in a moment. Insulating the inside. Now that we've sealed the seams and any vulnerable parts of our trash can, before we seal the lid on top of the trash can, let's add the insulation inside. What purpose does the insulation serve? We want to keep anything that we store inside from touching the metal trash can, as any signal that affects the trash can be transmitted to the item inside touching it. Now, we want to use an insulating material to keep the items from touching the trash can. There are a couple of options here. You can use something like a packing blanket and stuff it inside. But obviously with this approach, you'll have less room inside to add items, but it's an option nonetheless. Next, and probably the more popular approach, is using cardboard. Here's how. To begin with, we'll add the insulation for the bottom of the can, and to do this, set the trash can on top of a cardboard box. Draw a circle around the bottom of the can with a Sharpie, then cut it with a knife or scissor. Next, we'll take this circular piece of cardboard and put it on the inside of the bottom of the trash can. Now we need to insulate the inside walls of the trash can. Let's begin by measuring the depth of our trash can. We want a piece of cardboard that is this height. Next, mark your cardboard to the same height that we just measured on the inside of the trash can. Finally, cut the cardboard on the line that we just drew on the cardboard. Roll the cardboard you just cut to make it flexible to go inside the trash can. And if you have multiple pieces of cardboard, that's okay as long as they're the same height. The cardboard does not have to be one continuous piece, but if you do use multiple pieces, just be sure to overlap them when placing them inside the trash can and tape them so that they don't move around and possibly allow the contents inside to touch the side of the trash can. Additionally, we want to put insulation on the inside of the top of the lid to ensure nothing inside touches it, as it is also a conductive material. Now to do this, let's put the lid on top of the cardboard, draw a circle on the cardboard, and then cut it. Next, you're going to take some tape, and you can use regular tape for this, and fold it back on itself so that the sticky side is pointing outward. Or create 6 to 8 pieces like this, or put as many as you want, putting them on the cardboard, and then finally pressing that newly taped cardboard to the inside of the trash can lid. I also cut the edges off of the cardboard as they would prevent me from being able to push the trash can lid down tightly. And as you can see, we now have a fully insulated trash can. Adding items inside. What items do you want to put inside? Well, anything that is electronic that you would want after a disaster. And that could be something like a solar generator, a solar blanket, a ham radio, emergency radio, or flashlights, or maybe a backup phone, a USB thumb drive, or laptop that's filled with valuable survival PDFs stored on it. You definitely want to check out a recent video that we did on the channel discussing free survival PDFs that you can download right now from our website. Now, additionally, if you're interested in picking up a solar generator, you're not sure what they are, you're also going to want to check out our 2023 solar generator comparison buyer's video guide. I'll post a link in the description and comment section below to both of those videos. Now, what electronic items would you store inside this setup to protect them from an EMP? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Storage. When it comes to storing our trash can with the items inside, we want to add the can on top of a non-conductive material. So is concrete a non-conductive material? Well, sort of. It depends on potential variables beyond this video's scope, and it may or may not be a good insulator should an electromagnetic pulse hit. So to play it safe, you can easily place the trash can on top of a piece of cardboard, a piece of plywood, or a rubber mat. Testing our setup. So let's test our new setup with a radio and a phone. And in a moment, I'm going to show the results from an individual who used our same setup using equipment to simulate an EMP, and we're going to see what he found. But for now, let's run 4 different tests using items that you probably already have. In the first test, we're going to add our device inside a regular trash can that has not been modified in any way. In the second test, we're going to simply add the lid without any gasket or aluminum tape. In the third test, we'll use only the aluminum gasket on top of the trash can. And for the fourth test, we're going to seal the lid completely with aluminum tape. Okay, so let's start off with the radio. I've got the volume turned up so that we can hear the music, and we'll see what happens when we add it inside of our insulated trash can. In the first test, we're going to place the radio inside a regular trash can that doesn't have a seal on the lid.
Me when I say we got to run this dude down because he was one of our all-time favorite Halos ever.
As we can see, the music does not play. Next, I'll add the radio inside the trash can that we added the insulation to and sealed the seams inside, but it has no seal on the lid.
Number 9 spot in the Western Conference. I know, I can't believe we're sitting there talking about getting excited about the fact that we're ready to pick up a game on.
And as you can see, the music doesn't play. Now I'll add an aluminum foil gasket on the top of the trash can. I'll add the lid and drop our radio inside the trash can again.
From 2012 to 2019, as well as for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
As we can see, the music does not play. Finally, we'll test the setup with aluminum tape around the top of the lid. And I'll first drop the radio inside the trash can while it's on and then tape the lid shut.
714-2-830-830, that is your telephone number.
And as we can see, the music doesn't play. So with a radio signal, it appears a trash can alone is good enough. But what about a cell phone? Okay, let's repeat the same 4 tests, but with the phone. And as you can see, it's turned on. Additionally, for each of these tests, we're going to also add a camera inside the trash can to see if the phone does or does not receive the signal. Next, I'll add the phone inside the trash can that we added the insulation to and sealed the seams inside, but it has no seal on the lid. And when calling from another phone, the phone receives the signal and rings. Now, I'll add an aluminum foil gasket on the top of the trash can and add the lid and drop our phone inside the trash can and call it. When calling from another phone, the phone receives a signal and rings. And finally, I've added aluminum foil all the way around the lid completely, sealing it off and adding the phone inside the trash can. When calling the phone from another phone in this situation, the phone does not receive the signal and goes to voicemail. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Dr. Bradley of the EMP Doctor YouTube channel has the equipment necessary to simulate and test an EMP signal. He ran a test similar to what we just had performed, but used his equipment, which can simulate an EMP. I'll post a link to the video, but in the video, he found a significant drop in signal getting into the can if you sealed it all the way around with aluminum tape on the lid. When he didn't seal the lid, a signal got in. There was a massive improvement when the lid was sealed. So what's the takeaway here? Use aluminum foil to seal the lid. We have come to the same conclusion that he did in his trials. It's the safest bet. It's a bit inconvenient that you have to cut it and then reseal it each time, but if you want to seal the items inside and make sure that they're protected, that's your safest bet. An aluminum foil gasket didn't really make much of a difference. Now, earlier I also mentioned a third option to seal the lid. In one of Dr. Bradley's other videos, he explained a product that he sells that is a gasket that prevents an EMP signal from coming through. Now, the obvious advantage of this is that you don't have to tear the aluminum tape off the lid each time you want to get inside. And I'll post a link to that video below. Now, while I can't test for that particular scenario for that product, he does provide some compelling data in his videos. So again, check it out. Now, also, one last thing worth noting that came up a lot in my research. Should you ground your Faraday cage? Again, Dr. Bradley addresses this question using his own equipment. His conclusion is that grounding provides very little to no value. Again, I'll post a link to that video below if you want to check it out. Also, be sure to check out our other video on building a Faraday cage with an ammo can, which I'll post a link to here on the side of the screen. We provide a lot of detailed information in that video if you want to build a smaller setup as well. As always, stay safe out there.